This is
You're asking me a question?
Yeah, this is my little moment, nuggets of fun, as I like to call them. Just just to see Jeremy squirm for a second. What?
That was my stripper name in college.
It's a new character in your book, Jeremy Squirm.
No, nuggets of fun.
Oh no! Oh,
okay, regain control, Brian. Your turn.
Welcome to the Dastardly Dingoes podcast, a show that celebrates all things nerdy. You'll get an insider's look into the world of comic books, graphic novels, TV and film, gaming and pop culture, as well as the technologies that drive all of it. Now, are you ready to get nerdy?
Welcome to the Dastardly Dingoes podcast, the show about all things nerdy. We discuss nerd news, movies, TV shows, games, comics, and so much more.
And
I'm
product
Brian.
placement.
I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Chad.
And brace yourselves, because we're about to get nerdy. All right, folks. Before we start, I would like to give a nice shout out to What the Niche Podcast for the free merch. Go to Andrew Morris's Facebook page. Go to What the Niche Podcast Facebook page. Check him out. He's going to be an NPR star one day. All right. Today, this episode, we are going to be talking about a couple of very serious things.
Why did your voice go up on that?
Serious. And we're gonna be talking about the Impostor Syndrome and how that relates to and can sometimes lead to being overworked in a creative culture. And to help us discuss these topics, I give you first and foremost the illustrious, the indubitable Brian K. Morris, everyone. And also the Lord of the TARDIS himself, Christian Basel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Golf clap.
These guys are Dastardly Dingoes alum.
Indeed. Indeed. They have both been on the show before, and we welcome them back.
Yep. We'll link to their individual videos.
Well, I got my diploma from the
School
of WTF.
Yes, they are honorary dingoes.
Honorary. I hung it really.
Dingoized.
It's like being knighted by the Queen. That's what I tell everyone.
There was no lube involved the whole time. It was really really a religious experience.
Oh man. So hey guys, to get us kicked off here, Brian, I think this would probably be appropriate. You in the Rising Tide community that we all kind of cling to here, you have been talking about this quite a bit over the last year, which I have found very helpful because I had never heard of it before until you started talking about it. Why don't you tell us what exactly is imposter syndrome?
Yeah, isn't it good to know that there's something wrong with you and there's finally a name for it? You know,
yeah, I've waited my whole life. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
glad we can help. Yeah.
That's one of many names.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with imposter syndrome, which is a genuine recognized mental disorder that basically you feel unworthy. When people give you compliments, when people give you accolades, it's not false modesty, but you have this feeling. My friend Carl Witzman put it very well. Like you feel like somebody's going to tap you on the shoulder and say, okay, you're done pretending to be who you are. Now we're going to get somebody in who really is doing what you do. And it holds a lot of people back. I think, myself included, although I have gotten better in the last year or so, and I will share that later. Here's suspense for the program. Brian has your cure. But maybe. But yeah, it's like, you hesitate. And it's tough to feel the full weight of your accomplishments at times because, like, say somebody invites you to a wonderful broadcast, like, say, the Dastardly Dingoes, and you're like, why are they talking to me? Yeah, it's like, what, it's like, is this going to be like, somebody from 60 Minutes is going to come out and go, Brian, I understand you've been masquerading as a publisher since 2012. Well, we have evidence to the contrary.
Yeah.
But no, I've got legit credit. So anyway, it's kind of a feeling of unworthiness. It is kind of the polar opposite. I just learned recently of another disorder called the Dunning-Kruger effect, where basically you have the idea that you're the coolest, smartest, best person in the room when actually you're not.
Huh.
So the opposite of imposter syndrome.
Yeah, you're genuinely an imposter in that case,
right.
but you are the only one probably in the room who doesn't know it. So anyway, it does hold some of us back because it makes us hesitate when we try to take risks. It doesn't help us accept compliments easily. So it is something that is common throughout the creative community, I found. And it's not just writers or publishers, but artists, actors, directors, all kinds of creative people have this. Not everyone, but those of us who have it, we know it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Charlie Sheen got over his imposter syndrome like 2 years.
Well, when you get your tiger blood maybe you'll get over yours too, Christian.
Hashtag winning.
Yeah.
Oh man, no!
Nobody drop a piano on my head as I'm walking through my door.
Oh man, I think I think this is a really important message, not just for creative people in the arts, but just I think you can feel that way in social circles. You can feel that way in any type of circumstance. It's not really. It's not just us. It's anybody in any situation. You can feel like you don't belong when you absolutely do. And I don't know, Christian, your thoughts on what do you think triggers imposter syndrome the most from your experience?
For Brian, I think it's Cookie. So,
I own that.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's just, I think that you just have an image of your mind. First of all, I think and Brian and I talked about this when I was on his show when I was on Clever Title. No, was it? No, it's not Clever Title. Yeah, Clever Title.
That was Clever Title, Pen.
Okay. Mm-hmm. When I was on his show and we were talking about the imposter syndrome, it's like you see something that you think your mind becomes your own worst enemy. It takes over. And the worst thing about something like your mind taking over, it's not like a physical bully where it just beats you up and you have one or two options, walk away or fight back. This one's inside your head, and it's not like you can walk away.
Right.
It's there, and it just focuses on you, and it knows you well. And it's really that inner demon that just says you're not right. And for some people, it is just constantly talking. It won't stop. Yeah. And the only thing you can do is just try to fight it off. When I was first asking for celebrities to be on my show, I'm like, who the heck am I? I'm just starting out. I have no talent, no charisma, whatever. Nobody's going to show up. And I think one of the biggest imposter syndrome faux pas, I think, Brian, tell me if I'm wrong on this. One of the things that I've learned throughout the course, not just in doing the show, but just in life, if you never ask the question, the answer is always going to be no. If you never try, you've never taken the chance. Yeah. So what's the issue? Just go for it. If you're going to get a no, at least you tried and you made an attempt. And that's something I think that just sits in our heads, and it's the worst thing to have because it really attacks your character. It attacks who you are. And the only way to get around that is you just got to break out of it. You got to stop listening to it and just try. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes when you do fail, it comes back even harder. And just like, well, look what happened. You didn't make it. Now you're not going to do it again. So I think it's different for everybody, but it still has the same influence, which is very scary. And I think that's for what people don't take a chance or don't try to do something or don't try to better themselves. Because when they sit there and listen to that voice, it's a very dark, and it can take you to dark places. And it's the hardest thing to do is to try to fight it. But you got to fight it.
For sure. Chad, I've actually, I've been looking forward to hearing everyone's opinions, but I think on this topic and the topic we're going to lead into a little bit later, I've really wanted to hear your thoughts on this. So for you personally, what, do you think you have struggled with this, with imposter syndrome at all?
Yeah, I mean, first I would just say I wrote down a few notes, Christian. That was really awesome and helpful, and I appreciated your feedback on that.
Good. I just Googled that up and read it. I'll send you the link. Send you the link.
I think there's a couple things I think about with this imposter syndrome. On one side, I always think it's no matter how good you are, whether you thought you arrived or whatever, there's always someone better at what you're doing. And so there's always that sense of forced humility where you think, I've really got here. And then you'll see someone else who's a better writer or a better artist or a better at production or whatever it is. And that really forces you. Like for me, I really struggle with that imposter syndrome at that point, because if someone asks me advice on drawing or writing or world building or something like that, you get a bit self-conscious because you think, well, there's 100 people you could ask that are much better at this than I am. But then there's the other side too of the people that are quick to give advice or quick to critique other people who are not qualified to do that. And you just see how embarrassing it is for them because you're just like, who do you think you are? Like, I'm sure we've all experienced, I know I have, where I'll post something on Facebook and someone will give their unsolicited response and critique to my art or to writing or whatever it is, and then you look at their stuff and you're like, who do you think you are that you have that level of arrogance to say that you think I'm looking for your advice? So you've got like both, on both sides of it, and there's always that fear of falling into one of those two categories where you're just constantly crippled because you know that other people are better than you. And then you just don't want to come off as like an arrogant jerk as well. And so that's one thing I think about. But also with the imposter syndrome, I feel like there's almost an inverted sense of pride because the whole focus is on you. Like you're just constantly like worried about what other people think about you. And a lot of times you try to make that come off as humility, like, well, I'm not that good or whatever, or blah, blah, blah. But the focus is still constantly on you. And that can become very unhealthy. And I think you really have to battle with like an appropriate level of like self-awareness of knowing there's always going to be people better than you. There's always people that you're better than. It's only when that starts getting out of whack that I think you really start falling into that imposter syndrome where you don't think you're qualified to contribute to the community when really you are. So
can I add to Chad's example?
I think you raised a really well, I was going to say, Chad, great minds think alike. No, real quick, Chad, I think you brought up some great points about comparing yourself to other people. One of the things I hear a lot as a creator is don't compare yourself to other people. Like I write books for the most part, and and people reinforce this from the outside of your head. They're like, well, are you making as much as Stephen King? Yeah. And Stephen King is like a genre unto himself.
When he first started, I'm making as much as Stephen King.
When he was still thinking about burning the manuscript to Carrie and teaching high school and thinking that was his life forever. Yeah, I'm doing every bit as well as he is. But no, it's, you can't compare yourself to others, although people on the outside do. When I started self-publishing, a lot of people were like, well, have you sold as many comic books as like X-Men? Are you as good as Stephen King? And
absolutely,
and why do we compare ourselves to the pinnacle of our profession?
Yeah,
is the thing. We have to keep that in mind, that all those people started out where we are or were. And so I think that's one healthy thing to keep in mind, and I'll give everyone my cure for it. Carl Witzman, again, I credit him with this, and he's a counselor, so he knows this stuff. The only people who suffer from imposter syndrome are the people who've accomplished something. Think of that next time you get a burst of, oh gosh, why me? So,
yeah, and it is also just to address, I think a really solid point you just made, Brian, with, like, it's, like you can't compare yourself, to the pinnacle of your, the person that's doing a similar thing that you are, and, you are the same place that person is, but not, like how many people does actually become a Stephen King? How many people actually, and Stephen King didn't become Stephen King, on his own. There was people that gave him a break. People that paid attention to what he was writing. Like I go back in comics. I go back to Eastman and Laird with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like they put out a book and it blew up. That never happens. And so it's like you can't compare yourself to somebody else's 1 in 1,000 experience, because the odds are stacked against every person. It just, in this specific situation, it worked for them. And
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was about to say also, you got to think of, even though we do I see the icons and I'm trying to think of the word here. I'm sorry, but I meant you're also looking at the path. The path that Stephen King walked is not the same path as Emily Bronte had walked. Is not the same path as Charles Dickens had walked. Everybody had a different path, and everybody went a different way, but it still didn't make their work any less or different. Right. They just found a path, and it's easier said than done to say to make your own path and make your own way, but you have to find your own path. Yeah, once you start comparing yourself to things that are just, I'm not going to be playing for the Orlando Magic any day now. And in some cases, well, with their starting line, I think I could probably qualify. But having said that, I just I come to the realization that I do have some limitations. But I meant here's a good example of something that just happened a while ago, and I won't say any names or anything. There was a girl that I really simply adored in high school. She was just like this perfect angelic girl, and she was in my drama class, and I just never asked her, just never did. It was like, she had a boyfriend, and that was all over, and then we went on to do our own thing, and years later we found each other on Facebook, and I just off the cuff asked the question, go, if I had asked, would you have done it? And she goes, I thought you were going to ask me. I'm like, now, having said that, I'm happy where I am in life right now. I'm very, very happy. But what would have happened? If I took that chance? I would have dated one of the most beautiful women in high school. But it's those things that it's that little voice in your head that just says, no, you're not worth it. You're not going to do it. And if you let that voice win, it will continue to win every single time. Every time you need to try to do that battle, every time you try to be better than somebody who has established the road, you have to find your own path. And it's not an easy path, but if you take it, you'll see that path is rewarding over some time.
Yeah, that's good. Jeremy, you have anything? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that a big thing, at least for me, I heard somebody use this term before, analysis paralysis. And it's the idea that, like, you're the only one that knows how all of these pieces came together to make this product, right? Like for me, making a video, I'm the only one that knows my workflow and the plugins that I use and the way that I go about putting together a video. So when you show somebody, there's this this fear that it's not that they're going to see all the things that or the things that you weren't 100% happy with. And so a lot of times, like when we are analyzing our own stuff, or when we're thinking about that product and what needs to go into it, you can, like, this happens to me all the time, that I'm thinking through it so much that I spent a whole day thinking about it and didn't make any progress on the thing. Thinking through, how do I make this the absolute best of whatever that is that has ever been? And you said this before, Brian, the finished, not perfect.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of plays into it. For me, every video that I have made sucks. Just because I know that transition that I worked with for like a half an hour that wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be. I see that every single time. Or, when I couldn't quite find the image that I wanted to work with and I had to work with this one, or some sort of blending mode wasn't working the way that it was supposed to. Like, I see those every single time, and you can get in your head to the point where you're just like frozen. You're just in quicksand and you're not actually doing anything. You're just thinking about doing things.
Yeah, I think I do like the finish not perfect phrase, because there's stuff that I'll do, if I make a drawing and I'm relatively happy with it or whatever, just give it a bit of time and I'll look back and think, oh man, what, like, that's horrible. What, it's just that constant. But the big thing is, because you're constantly developing, you're constantly getting better. So yeah, you shouldn't expect whatever you created 5-6 months ago or a couple of years ago to be as good as what you're doing now. And I think there is a real danger of getting hung up on, I've got to do the most perfect thing I can at all times, because like you were saying, Jeremy, like at some point you're not going to produce anything, because you're just going to constantly, I drew this comic book page. Well, it's not that great, so I'm going to redraw it again. Or I didn't like this panel, so I'm just going to redraw it again. Well, you just got to get to a point where you just draw it flawed and then think about it like, okay, well, the next time I do it, I've learned from that, and then I'll be able to move on and get better the next time,
Yeah. I know I took Neil Gaiman's masterclass on the art of storytelling, which is really great overall. But there was one piece on imperfection that he talked about is, you essentially what he said was, oh goodness, I just blanked.
No pressure.
Dude.
No pressure at all, right? No, what he
Thanks,
said,
folks. It's been a great show. Hey, see you almost.
No, what he said was, if everybody drew perfectly or wrote perfectly, there would be no individual styles at all, right? Like stylized things come out of mistakes that are perfected in their own ways. So like, you will draw a picture, Chad, and I would draw the same thing, and it would both look completely different. And it's because, like, we both have essentially mastered in our imperfections, and are continuing to do so. And that's what creates different styles. That's what creates different voices in writing. That's what creates different perspectives and different opinions. Is if everybody did the perfect thing, then everything would look exactly the same.
Yeah.
And the thing that makes everything different is the little differences, the little, what you would be perceived as making a mistake. I mean, I can look back at my work from, a year or two ago, and sure, I think some of the stuff absolutely sucks, but then there are other things where I'm just like, man, like, I hated this when I drew it, but I'm looking back now and I'm like, it's actually kind of cool looking, and it's because of the mistakes. It's because of those things that are on the page that I did, what in my mind was incorrect, but actually, it was the beginning stages of a style that I've started drawing.
Yeah.
And I think we can all, lean into that in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and it's funny when you talk about mistakes. A lot of that's rooted in all these pretend rules that we've made up. I mean, I remember in art school where they would give certain rules of composition, like you should never put things on, towards the border, or you should always work in odd numbers and all that kind of stuff. And then you'd have some artists come out and that's all they did was break the rules.
Yeah.
And you just realize, like, you know, a lot of that is just opinion. Or as I always give my wife a hard time about this, because we talk a lot about like, you know, you think about with fashion, you know, one season it's like brown and black don't go together, and then the next season it's like, no, that's what everyone's wearing. Or like I'll put something on, she'll say that doesn't match. I'm like, what are you talking about? Match 6 months ago was fine. You know, it's just so funny how all those like rules that we make up for what's good changes all the time. And if you get so hung up on following those rules, then you're going to feel like an imposter, or you feel like you're not worthy enough because you can't ever get that. But like you're saying, out of those mistakes comes your style and the way you're going to do things. And, you know, and it also depends on what you're going for. Like if I'm drawing realistic comic books, but my figures are not consistent across panels, well then I've got an issue I need to fix. But if my style is more like flexible and there's a lot of flow and change of style, then that's fine too. So it just really goes back to what your aim and goal is in your project.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, go ahead, Brian.
Well, something to consider is something I heard from an artist friend of mine years ago who said perfection is impossible. You will never achieve perfection, but excellence is within your grasp.
Speak for yourself, Feds boy.
I am.
There's a running joke. It says, like, I used to have an ego problem. Then I saw my doctor. Now I'm perfect.
Well, a lady once told me I had an attitude problem. I said, no, I came to terms with my attitude years ago. Now it's your turn to come to terms with my attitude.
It's your problem now.
It's your problem, yeah. Oh, man. Jeremy, let's start with you on this next question. What has been? Yeah, I know.
Sorry, I saw Jeremy's eyes like, what?
This is my.
You're asking me a question?
Yeah, this is my little moment, nuggets of fun, as I like to call them. I just just to see Jeremy squirm for a second. No, what?
That was my stripper name in college.
It's a new character in your book, Jeremy Squirm.
No, nuggets of fun.
Oh no! Oh,
okay, regain control, Brian. Your turn.
Oh man! So Jeremy, what so far has been your most crippling moment of imposter syndrome for you?
I think after I lost my job and decided that I was going to be a freelancer, which I hadn't really done before. I mean, I'd done a couple of projects here or there, but most of all the work that I had done had been for a company in these set parameters. And then now I'm going to be a freelancer. What do I don't even know what my voice is. Like, what do I offer people? Like, you know what I mean? And when you start saying like, well, how much are you going to charge for your work and things like that? I think that's where the imposter syndrome comes in, because it's like, I don't know, like $5. I don't know, $5,000. I don't know.
Oh man, a friend
like, how much are you willing to give me?
yeah, a friend of mine and I, we were talking about that exact thing the other day. Is like commissions. Like when people are like, how much is a commission? Like, I don't know. I don't think my stuff's worth anything. Yeah, and like that happens to me all the time.
Yeah. So as I started like putting together the website, it's like I don't know, because then you're having to like pick from the things that you've done to showcase to people what you are capable of doing. So then that means I'm going back, like Chad, like you were saying, the things 6 months ago, a year ago, those are the things that I have to put on a website, right? And so I'm looking at this video that I made a year ago and I'm like, God, this is so terrible. This is garbage. Or, when I'm coming up with how much to charge people, like, I don't know, free, I guess. Like, so.
Wait, that's not what you said to me.
Right.
Here's $5. Take my art.
Yeah. So
go away.
I think when you are an independent artist, like we all are.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that company that is doing the selling. We're just like, I'm just making something, and they've got the clout for people to say, oh yeah, cool, that's cool because that company made it for me. When it's just me, I feel like you don't have that foundation, and that was very rocky for me the first couple of months that I was doing that. So
yeah, how have and if you haven't, that's fine to say, but how did you overcome that?
just start writing stuff down, like just make a decision.
Yeah.
And say, this is what I feel like it's worth. And when you write it down, you're not having to start from zero every time, right? When you say, okay, well, 2-minute video in 4K, I'm going to charge this much. And that's just the thing. That is the number. I've got it on this spreadsheet. Whereas before, it was like every person that asked me,
You had to analyze your soul first.
Yeah, I had to come up with something. But then now it's like, oh, well, that's what I charge for it.
Yeah.
And, you have to kind of, like, you don't want to come across like this, but you want to have a little bit of, like, take it or leave it sort of.
Yeah.
I think that's beneficial for you, because if people just said yes to everything that anybody ever asked them to do, like, then you're just going to end up doing a lot of stupid stuff that you don't care about. But when you
call that high school,
when you have that, right? Yeah. When you have that kind of like take it or leave it sort of mentality, what happens, the people that say yes are the ones that were inspired by the things that you had on your website. And they're like, I see this, I know that this is good, and I like this, and I'm connecting with it for some reason. So I'm going to say yes to the cost. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Christian, what about you, buddy? What would you say was the most crippling moment of imposter syndrome for you?
Hating life.
Right now.
Right now. Answering this question. So here you go. I guess if you just go back over time, it's just the things I didn't take a chance in, the things that I should have moved on and I didn't.
Yeah.
The very first guest on the show was Simon Fisher Becker, and he was Dorian Moldavar in Doctor Who, and I just happened to send him a Facebook request, and he accepted it, and I just off the cuff asked him out on the show. Asked him right on his. I sent him a PM. I said, "Do you want to be on the show?" After that hurdle, it got easier. Because I finally broke away and said, listen, they're not, I don't want to say they're not above me. That's not the context I want to come up, but in my head, they were. Yeah. They were all the way up here. And like, why would anybody want to spend the time with me or do anything? And then it just got easier. Again, if you never ask, the answer is no.
Yeah.
So you take a chance, see where things lie. Now, over time, there are a lot of tips and things that I've learned over time to make it easier or to entice people to come my way. And one of the things that I had to, in my position as far as entertainment, I think that goes with anybody who's doing a craft, because again, we focus on, okay, Stephen King, Emily Bronte, Charles Dickens, Dr. Seuss, all these writers who are different in their own right. One of the questions you have to ask yourself is, well, actually two questions. One, why are you doing this? And two, what makes you different from anybody else? And I think if you can go into your head and securely ask those questions, meaning that there is no doubt in your mind that you can answer your question, what separates you from the other guy? I mean, everybody paints, everybody writes books, everybody draws comics. Why are you different? And I think if you can convince yourself in your mind why you're different and why you do it, because there have been times when I've done the show and I'm not like, I've just thrown my head and just threw the TARDIS across the room and just said, no, I'm done with this. There's nothing going forward. The other thing is just keep going. you have to remember why you did this. And once, here's the funny part. And tell me what you think about this, Brian. When it starts to become work and not fun, that's when it's time to either A, rethink it, retool it, or maybe this is not the direction you're going into. And there's nothing wrong with taking a break and saying, you know, this I need to stop. You know, there are times when the work overpowers even personal life, and when it gets to that point, it's not fun anymore because now it's become the monster it shouldn't be. It should be controllable, and it should be something that you enjoy. And I think that it's even part of the imposter syndrome, because once it gets to the point where it's just intrusive in other things, then that imposter syndrome has the power to go in like, this is too much. You need to stop. You can't do this anymore. I think that's the form it'll take at that point. So you do have to, A, understand why you're doing this. You know, some people forget. And I think that's why people sometimes give up. There's a great episode, Brian, in Doctor Who, Brian K. Morris. And it's actually not part of an episode. It's one of those mini-sodes that they had. You know, they had those little mini-sodes during Matt Smith's time. And one of them was him with Amy Pond, and he gets to see all those other girl companions in the screen. I don't know if you ever saw that YouTube moment.
Yes. I
Okay.
remember that now. Yeah.
It wasn't that moment. It was just a cute little moment that she goes, "Oh wow, you had all these companions." But there was the moment that he mentioned about time being his backyard. And I started to realize what he meant by that. And this is just brilliance of the writing of Stephen Moffat. I think he wrote that. He goes, "It's my backyard and I can't see it anymore." The reason why he gets all these companions is because when people go into his backyard, he starts to realize how much fun it was. He sees it through new eyes. Yeah. He sees it through different eyes. And it's the same thing, too. When I go to the Magic Kingdom, there are times I go, what the heck? I'm bored out of my mind. I've done this ride. I've done this thing. But if I take a friend or a family, then I see through their eyes the magic that I actually was supposed to be having. Because it's just been redundant, but I see it through different eyes. And I think if you can take that, and you have to remember why it was fun. Otherwise, it just becomes an annoyance. It becomes work. It becomes something else other than what you're passionate for. And then the things that you were passionate for will begin to die. So either take a look at it, restructure it, see it from somebody else's perspective, show somebody else. Like if you wrote a comic, show somebody who, you know, what do you think about this? What do you think about this book? Read this chapter. Or, you know, I have a podcast here. Look, can you just listen to a minute episode and tell me what you think? And when you start seeing that people appreciate it more, I think that pushes the imposter syndrome away. Because I think that's what we want. We want acceptance. We want to be liked. We want to be popular. And one of the hardest things also, and I think I'm just bloviating now, but one of the hardest things about imposter syndrome when it comes to our craft, no matter what we're doing, is that it's our kid. And we don't like it when people poke fun at our kids. When we have a passion, a dedication, blood, sweat, tears, money, everything that we put into it, and somebody just comes along and makes that one big comment or puts a thumb down, you know, vote on your YouTube channel, like I do all the time for Brian, just to make him feel better about life. That imposter syndrome comes back and it tries to tell you, you shouldn't be doing this. Somebody just voted down on you. Somebody just turned you down, won't buy your book. Or in Jeremy's case, I couldn't come up with a price because I don't have the value that I did. But it goes back to it. What makes you different? What makes you of value to your craft? And what love do you have for it? And if you focus on those two, I think you can beat the imposter syndrome. Either that, or I'm just bloviating, and Brian's going to laugh eventually. So
no, I think everything you've said's been great. Honestly, like I think those are some wise words. Jeremy, what's up?
No, I was just going to say it is funny though. Like talking about imposter syndrome and hating or thinking that what you produce sucks, but if somebody else says that it sucks, we're like, like you're ready to fight.
Like, what do you mean? This is the best thing ever.
Yeah, but I don't think that. Like,
I didn't
Yeah,
ask
why do I
you.
expect everybody to think that?
Yeah. It's like
Lay
what
off
my
my lawn.
sister. Yeah, it's like what my sister used to say. Like, she's older than me. Like, when I was a little kid, like when her friend, like when she would like pick on me and tease me all the time, but if her friends started doing it, she'd be like, "No, he's not anything." But she like said the exact same thing the other day.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that.
Yeah,
for sure. Brian, what do you think is your most that you've experienced is your most crippling moment of imposter syndrome?
Only one?
Well,
Wow.
give me
of every day.
This is going to be a
2 hours later.
Story,
Yeah.
Megan. This is going to be
Yeah.
a long night.
Oh, Lord,
Keep
is it
drinking,
ever?
Jeremy.
I'm probably the first time I started to publish my first book, which was in the it's a defunct program now through Amazon called Kindle World. So it was basically paid fan fiction. And to start my full-time writing career, having just lost my cushy office job, I'm like, well, I'm going to make this work. Until I find something else, I'm going to make this work. And I kept writing this thing, and just to the point where I'm about to upload it. And I spent like 5 hours the night I was uploading it finding more errors. And I'm starting to be like, oh man, do I know what I'm doing? Apparently not. And who's going to read this anyway? And have I thought everything out? Have I done enough studying? Do I know how to get people to read this thing? Blah, blah, blah. And eventually I just figured I've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I need to jump. I need to have a leap of faith and jump. And I did. And fortunately, it all, worked out, one thing after another. But one thing that helped me in a lot of ways was like reaching out to other people or finding other people who were farther up the ladder from me. Because I keep saying, there's rungs. We're all on ladders in our various careers, whether it's broadcasting, writing, drawing, whatever. And it's amazing how many people at the higher levels are happy to give advice. Yeah. And this in turn kind of inspired me to do the Rising Tide thing, where I am happy to give people the tools that they can use to get through whatever's troubling them right now. And there's a difference between doing it for them and just simply saying, okay, here's the instructions on how to fish, go get your dinner.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. That was something I struggled with a lot. But finding my tribe, finding my Nevermorians, my Clevermorians, whatever you want to call them, helped a lot, because these are now my peers. And we're all in the same area from each other as far as moving up in our respective careers. And to hear one of them say, well, Brian, this really turned out well. I love that cover. How'd you get this person to do this or whatever? And that was one thing that helped ease my problems with imposter syndrome. And it was kind of funny because just when we're feeling like we are imposters, this was about 1.5 years ago, I was in a very small comic book convention in Harrisburg, Illinois. And if you haven't heard of it, I get it. But anyway, but no, it's a wonderful small show. And I was doing I volunteered to do a panel on writing and publishing with two dear friends of mine, Amy Hale and Kathy Jackson, both of whom are very successful authors in the romance genre. And so we're sitting there and we're getting all these great questions from the audience. It was really terrific. And then finally, one of the people asking questions said, well, we're sorry if we're pestering you, but we don't get many celebrities in this part of Illinois. And Kathy and I and Amy and I are just kind of like, you two, right? And it's like, no, it's got to be you, Brian. And so it's all relative, but I think getting positive affirmation helps up to when you are able to deliver your own.
Yeah.
And you can put stuff out that, like has been mentioned earlier, it's not going to be perfect, but it is the best you can do.
Yeah.
And to, like, Christian said with, approaching guests, I've had that in my broadcasting. I was usually asking my friends because, at least them telling me no would be easier to take because they knew me. But then, I started reaching a little higher. Finally got the Dastardly Dingoes on one episode. Holy cow.
You've arrived,
the doors
sir.
the doors just started opening after that. But when I started broadcasting, it was kind of funny because people would say, Brian, can I be on your show? And my first thought was, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Aim higher, but now I recognize the show for what it is. And like Christian said, you got to have fun with it. And that's why I turned it from basically an interactive conversation show to me bringing on people that my audience might like to get to know, like the Dastardly Dingoes, like Christian Basel, Chad. Beware, the tap on the shoulder may come soon, buddy. Beware.
He's coming after you, Chad.
I'm going everywhere for my pimping here. But anyway, and then I'm getting people who are. It does help when you get people, and I know Christians had this too, where they're in their respective fields, they're a little higher up than your respective field, but they want to be part of what you do.
Yeah.
And that's very, very cool. I've had a number of people who, like Karen Nicole, great cosplayer, comic book creator. She was, her agent approached me to be on my show. And I've known Kara for years. We've been friends. But for some reason, the syndrome kicked in. It's like, oh man, she's not gonna want to do this show. Surely she's seen it. But we had a terrific episode when I just said yes to that, and I'm now getting to the point where I'm asking people who are higher up on the ladder that I'm approaching them, and if they say no, I just find somebody else, because there's always somebody out there that will want to spend a couple hours with me on Tuesdays, 8:00 Tuesdays on my channel on YouTube and on Facebook. # always promote. That helps.
Yeah, no, I mean, last night even on Clever Title Pending, you had Michael Watson on. I mean, I think he had more fun. He had just as much fun interacting with us in the chat as he did being on your show. Promoting his stuff. He had a blast, and you could tell. And I think that's an endearing part of your show and what you do.
Yeah. Thank you. And he did. He told me he loved interacting with you guys. You had great questions, and your just general attitude. And he told me he did have fun. I've not had anyone yet say, Brian, that was the most miserable experience I've ever had in my life, and I would rather do dental surgery on myself with a rusty pair of vice grips than to come back on your show ever again.
Christian,
but no, I've never had that. Yeah, well, I understand that.
I actually told him that.
Yeah. Like he's going to come back. Like I'm going to ask him.
No shot either.
But no, Christian, I love Christian. I really do. We fight like a married couple. We love each other.
Cookie has prepared me for everything.
Pretty much, yeah. But no, I think in this sort of thing, one thing that helps is to get over the fear of your ego being destroyed, because it won't happen. That you're going to be made a laughing stock. Probably won't happen. And just don't be afraid to punch above your weight class. Yeah. Pretty much, and have confidence. And like Christian said, you miss every ball that crosses the plate when you don't swing at it. So you lose nothing by taking a shot at it.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting, the common themes that we've all talked about already. Is it seems like hubris and pride, it plays a big heavy role in imposter syndrome to begin with, on many different levels. And then it does see it, and on really a little bit of what causes imposter syndrome, but will also alleviate it, is the community around you. And I think I've found in my 5-6 years of making comics, it seems like so many of us are all in the same boat. but we all think the other ones are so much, higher up, and it's like, no, we're pretty much all out here feeling the same stuff.
Yeah.
And just in our own different circles. And when we start opening up about that, we realize, oh, so you feel this way too. Oh, okay. And then friendships are formed and real community happens.
Yeah,
for sure. So, Chad, close us out on this, and then we'll jump into another topic.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've experienced imposter syndrome from about 1976 to 2021.
Is this where we all go, hi, Chad?
It all started when I got out of the womb.
Looking at all the
Downhill
other
ever
babies.
since.
Like, what am I
Put me
doing
back.
here?
Don't spank me. What the hell's wrong with it? This is so scary. What's going on here? No, for me, like probably the worst for me was when I was in college and in my 20s and 30s, where it was really crippling. Like it didn't matter what I did. I just felt like it wasn't good enough. And that continues to creep into my life and whatever project that I'm doing. I think for me, like as far as advice or getting over that, I think it really is, you have to have a balance of confidence and self-awareness. In other words, like you have to believe that whatever you're doing is as good as anyone else can do, but also the self-awareness to know that it probably isn't, and to be okay with that, like to be confident and in what you're doing and really enjoying what you're doing. And when you get to that point, then you don't really worry so much about how other people think about it. And I think also what really helps is facing a lot of rejection, because you just get to that point where you realize people have all kinds of preferences. So like there's tons of stuff that is out there that I look at and I'm like, why is that so successful? I don't understand. And then other stuff I'm seeing and finding out, amazing artists all the time that I'm like, why have I never heard of this person? Like, how does that happen? But the reality is there are going to be things that you love that I don't, and there's going to be things that I love that you don't. And to have that expectation that everyone should love everything that you're doing is just not realistic. And it goes back to just having that good self-awareness to know, like, you're going to have an audience that really likes your stuff, and you're going to have people that don't like your stuff. And it's okay. Like, you have to get past that point of relying so much on what everyone else thinks. And you just have to get to that point of really enjoying what you're doing and doing it because you love it, and at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. And like you were saying, Brian, about having the community there to support you is huge, because you can go to a friend and say, look, man, I'm really frustrated about this, or like, man, I don't understand, or whatever it is, and you have other people that can support you as you're struggling with whatever you're going through. So for sure.
Thanks for that, man. Thank you guys. I think that all that was really helpful, and I think it's good for people to hear, creatives who seemingly have their stuff together to hear the stories, to hear, hey, these guys struggle with it in this specific way, not just in general, this is what imposter syndrome is, and but it's more personal. And thank you guys for being willing to share all that stuff. Christian, go ahead.
Let me just leave anybody on this thought. If Chewbacca Mom can have 18 minutes and a half fame and end up at Fan Expo, and the guy who takes a pen and an apple and puts it together and can make a YouTube video go viral, there's hope for the rest of us in this world.
Yeah. There it is.
Just gotta find her next. Brian, go ahead. Yeah, next question.
Oh man. Well, you actually, Christian, you touched on this a little bit ago. Kind of shifting gears. This is a part of imposter syndrome, like you said. But in our culture, we almost worship kind of success and productivity from a workspace standpoint. And imposter syndrome can absolutely lead to overworking and neglecting other areas in your life. So you will, feel like you belong, you feel accepted. So you're putting, like you said earlier, it's becoming this overbearing work that's eating away at your life instead of something productive and fun and what you're passionate about. So I kind of wanted to talk about that specifically in the indie community. So for, just kind of introducing the topic, we hear a lot of phrases like, do work, or, I'm out there hustling, and that kind of stuff. And I don't know, when you hear those phrases, Brian, what's the first thing that, kind of comes to your mind?
Talk about hustle. I may not be the right person to talk about this, because I like the hustle. I appreciate the fact that I am busy, because as I constantly say, there was a time when nobody cared how much idle time I had on my hands. Now people are like wanting to have a piece of it, and that also helps combat the imposter syndrome as well. It's kind of like an affirmation from other people that you are or have a commodity that is valuable, and I wish to exploit it, and I live to be exploited. Let's face it. Okay.
Well, I will say this. This is, the terms, hustle and do work. There's not necessarily anything negative about that. Absolutely not. Because I'm the same way. I mean, we absolutely need to be working hard at what we're doing to accomplish our goals. But I guess from what I'm getting at is we have three different generations here. We have the baby boomer generation, Gen X, and millennials are all kind of making up this panel, and each generation seems to look at another generation and not us necessarily, but across the board in generalities, like one generation will look at another generation and be like, well, they put work above everything else. And this other generation is looking down to be like, these guys have zero work ethic. They don't even understand what work actually is.
Okay.
So, like that kind of,
say that.
Yes, I could tell you were just waiting. But with that, like that comes some real stereotypes, right? And I think there are good and bad things from both perspectives. So that's what I'm getting at here when I'm saying, I want to explore the different perspectives here from the different, things that our generations bring to us, but also we all are all individuals and we don't represent an entire generation here. But it's just interesting to hear from our different perspectives as to what, hustling looks like versus what good rest looks like. So that's really what I was getting at there, Brian.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I really do. And I think it's interesting that, we all look at other generations like being okay. I'm the boomer here. I admit it.
I thought it was Jeremy.
Jeremy wears it better than I do. But anyway, I was raised by parents who had been through the Great Depression. And so their work ethic was super strong because they grew up in a time where you didn't know where the next dollar's coming from. And it wasn't uncommon for people to take almost any job that was available to them. And sometimes taking jobs that are not pleasant or even sometimes dangerous. My paternal grandfather worked coal mine, for instance. And then he went into retail. I don't know what he was thinking. He should have stayed in the coal mine. But
it's definitely less dangerous. Coal mining is.
Yeah. I would think so, just an avalanche and you're done. But otherwise, facing angry customers, that's like 8 hours a day, it's 5 days a week. But no, so I think I have some of their work ethic, if you will, in that, I meet deadlines. I do things to the best of my ability. But by the same token, I also have overbooked myself quite a bit because I'm grateful to be where I'm at.
Yeah.
And you also have this idea, and it could be imposter syndrome to a degree, like, well, if I start saying no, they'll stop inviting me to the party. So it's time management. Time management plays a big part of it. And I have gotten a number of jobs simply because somebody else didn't have the same work ethic I did. In fact, I had I wrote an article for a book that's coming out fairly soon that the person who was supposed to do it basically vanished, I think, or they just basically crapped out on the assignment. And I was approached, said, "Can you write this thing in 1 month?" And I said, "I'll have to in 2 weeks. What are you talking about?" So, so I think part of that is, part of what I deal with. And again, if you have like imposter syndrome to a large degree, you may not understand why you're getting all these accolades. You won't be understand, well, why are they asking me to do this stuff? I'm only fill in the blank.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've come a long way in my imposter syndrome in the last couple of years. It has not been an easy path, but it has been worthwhile. So, so I hope I answered your question somewhere in there.
Yeah, you did. No, it's essentially just the knee-jerk reaction to just the overworked, stereotype, I guess, of what we hear all the time. Chad, what do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a balance between those two, because you hear, for example, of I saw an interview the other day. It was like one of those 1 minute things you see on Facebook with Kobe Bryant was just talking about players that would come onto the team, and there was a big difference between the ones that were willing to stay after practice and work on their jump shot and those kind of things, and then there were the other ones that complained through their whole practice and didn't want to do anything.
Yeah,
and he was saying, like, we wanted the ones that wanted to stay beyond and work that extra little bit. And I often remember interviews with Michael Jordan where he would talk about, while I'm asleep, I know that there's someone else out there shooting. There's someone else out there practicing, so I need to do that as well. I think there's that extreme, which is, can be healthy, but you also have to remember, what is your ultimate goal? Like, if my goal is to create the next Star Wars, well, if I'm just constantly playing PlayStation all day, it's not going to happen. But if I'm there to, draw something or create something for my kids and my grandkids and all that, I'm not going to have to do it 50 hours a day either. So, it's like you just have to realize, what you're doing and why you're doing it. But I also, you have to be careful of that. It can really turn into, I don't know if a good word is like an idolatry, where you're just constantly working because you want the approval of everyone. You want to constantly put stuff out. And I think that's the danger of social media, for example. Like, you see a lot of emphasis from social media marketers. Like, I listen to a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk, who I love and have a lot of respect for, but his constant mantra is like, put out like 10 to 15 to 20 posts every day on different media platforms. You'll drive yourself crazy doing that. And you have to ask yourself the question, why are you doing that? Is it so that all these people will love you and you'll get all these accolades? Or is it because you have a product that you really love and you want to build your business or your brand or whatever it is, and you want to get it out? I think there's a healthy balance there that each person has to really seek out for themselves. And so me personally, I like hustle. I like working hard, but I also, I do take breaks from now, every once in a while. I'm not the guy that has 30 sketchbooks of stuff I've just sit all day just drawing. I don't do that, But when I do work, I work really hard. And so I think it's, you just got to find a personal balance there.
Yeah, I think a good kind of in between there is a work hard, play hard, essentially, or work hard, rest well, and know your priorities. I think to use your Kobe Bryant analogy, I think it's great to be that guy that stays late and works hard and is someone that people can depend on. But I think you can also be that person and not neglect your family while doing so. I think that's a lot of Nathan Thomas Milner. He was on this show last season. I think he is a great example of someone who works ridiculously hard as a filmmaker and an artist, but at the same time is not afraid to say no to stuff because he's a dad and because he wants to spend time with his wife and kid. And cultivate a good family life, because he's a family man first in his mind, and then he's an artist. And I think knowing your priorities while working hard, while bringing that hustle, is, I think, the most important thing. Is if you have a family, you need to either like my situation, for example. I'm married to to an amazing woman and we don't have kids right now. So for us, she jumped on this bandwagon of making comics with me. So I brought her along, and that's absolutely, I think, the best option. Brian, you and Cookie have a very similar situation.
Oh yeah, definitely. In fact, she has become even more integral to my business.
Yeah.
As a publisher and a writer. And my hashtag, of course, is bring Cookie home. That's because I need the help.
That's right.
And plus she is amazing. Like when the lockdowns began almost a year ago, when everyone else is like, boo hoo hoo, I'm out of work. She's like, oh good, now I've got time to learn Photoshop.
Yeah.
And so she learned Photoshop, and she's actually getting work from other publishers as a colorist and book assembler. And
that's
formatter.
awesome. So, I didn't know until last night on Clever Title Pending when you said it that she was working on becoming a colorist.
Yeah, she's getting all the courses and everything, and like she keeps going, Brian, you're not supposed to be supporting Kickstarter all on your own. And I said, well, honey, I found this book on coloring for you. Oh, be sure to pledge high. We want so
get all the perks.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's how I try to tell her. Well, honey, I bought this book. It's The Lord of the Rings meets The Exorcist. I bought it for you.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yes, make sure you get all of those for sure.
That's right, honey. For you, honey.
Just for Cookie. No, but I think that is really the heart of this topic. Like we said earlier, it ties directly into imposter syndrome because you can become so just overwhelmed with wanting to belong that you can just overwork yourself to make it so, just to fit in, and that's when that's when you get burned out. That's when, and I know for me, when we launched our first Kickstarter, I worked so hard. I blocked out everyone else except for Robin because she was working with me, and I was miserable by the end of it. It was the most successful thing that we had done so far. It was a great accomplishment. I was very proud of it. But at the end of it, I didn't work on comics for like 4 months because I was so sick of drawing. I was so sick of writing, which has never happened since, and that had never happened up to that point. And so I realized at that point, okay, why was I working that hard, in that moment? And it was to get this thing done that I really wanted to get done. But at the same time, it was to prove something to myself and to other people that I belonged. Mm-hmm. And in there, that a part of that goal was a part of that thought process was harmful to me, and it actually did a lot of damage, to my passion for what I did. So,
a question
go ahead.
I want to throw out. This is actually for Christian. You had mentioned before about when you get to a point in which when you're you don't love what you're doing anymore, or it becomes really difficult. And my question, I was going to ask you before, but I think this is a good point in the discussion, isn't there a time though in which you're working on something that's very difficult, but it's worth working hard and working through that? Like, for example, you have to explain your original comment, but you had talked about, at that point where what you're doing is you no longer love it. It's just so difficult all the time. Then maybe that's not the thing you're supposed to be doing. My initial thought was, I love drawing comics, but there are certain pages or figures or things that I'm doing I don't enjoy because it's really hard. But I know that at the end of the day, if I push through it, that's good. And I still enjoy the whole process. I just know that there will be times where it's really difficult. Maybe, do you have any thoughts on that? Or maybe that's not what you were saying.
Well, to a certain extent, it depends upon the barometer of where your passion is at that moment. Mm. I mean, if you're losing it, the thing is, when you start working on your craft, whatever it is, you don't want to push yourself to the point where it's exhaustion, or it's a nuisance, or it's overbearing, or it's doing something to your life that it's not what you wanted, then you start to lose the passion about it there. There are times when there's times when I step away from this microphone. I don't even go into this room. I just, I do something else. It's not that I don't have the love or passion for it, but it's kind of having a relationship where you're both together all the time. You do need that kind of distance. You do need that kind of, I need to just step away. It's not that I don't appreciate or love what I'm doing, but if I don't do this, either it's going to bless me, it's either going to eat me alive to the point where it's becoming a monster on its own, or it's going somehow or another, it's going to ruin me. And that's what it shouldn't be. The passion should not be conquering you. You should be conquering the passion. You should be conquering whatever you're doing. And yeah, there's no question. I mean, some of the stuff I do, that I push hard for, Melanie only knows, Melanie Dean, who is my my co-host and pretty much the backbone of The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Nobody on the team knows more than anything that I do except for Melanie. And she goes, I can't believe you've done that. I can't believe and she goes, I don't know how he does it. She said that to other people in my presence, going like, I don't know how he does this. I don't know how he sleeps. I don't know how he goes on, but he does it. But there are times when I have to step away from the emails, step away from the Facebook page, play a game, watch a TV, binge watch something, because if it doesn't become fun, then it does become a burden, and that's where you don't want your passion to be, because that's the, I guess for a better term, the antithesis of what it's supposed to be in your life. Yeah. So yeah, if you want to push on, push on. But if you feel that moment where, you know what, I just need to step out of the room, step out of the room. Yeah. Get out of there. Because I think that's another thing of I think it's just another approach of the imposter syndrome coming in and saying, no, you shouldn't be doing this. You're going to be too hard, because you're going to be hard on yourself. And especially if you don't like the result of something. Have you ever done something in its entirety and something goes off and you feel like you just want to rip out, and you just, hours of time and days have been wasted on something that I really want to do and press hard on, because you weren't focused, because you didn't have the passion that you needed that was required for what you wanted to accomplish. Does this make sense, or am I just...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it has to do with like being able to draw the timeline out.
Exactly. Which was Brian, which was saying earlier. You really need to...
When you're zoomed in, the ticker may be like this, but you need to be able to like zoom out and see that there's at least a net gain to your life, and it's not a net.
Exactly. You hit it. And I think sometimes when you do step back and step away, like if there is that challenge or something, you actually have a new appreciation for accomplishing your goal. Because now you've stepped back, and in some cases, when I do step back, I see the whole parameter of everything. My mind is now not one track on one thing. It actually just kind of, okay, and refocuses on one when you come back into it. And sometimes when I just step away from this computer, my mind still continues to race, but it now is not limited to what I'm restricting it to.
Yeah.
So I'm doing something else. I'm in another room. I'm watching TV, and all of a sudden you'll be watching your favorite program or having a chat with somebody or playing on your phone or something. Next thing you know, your mind goes, oh, let's go back to that. I just figured it out.
Yeah.
So you do need to give the time away to get back into it. If that's answering your question, I hope it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you said was dead on, and I think it corresponds with what Brian was saying about working so hard that he burned out, on his first Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Danger of doing that. Yeah. There's a difference between that and taking on a challenge because you love the project and it requires a lot of hard work. There's a very big difference between those two. And so I think what you said was awesome.
And it's if you don't mind me, Brian, let me just throw this real quick. It's a dangerous, and I'm assuming Brian and Jeremy, you game, correct? You guys do video games? You're gamers? Is that
yeah, I used to.
Little.
I used to.
Okay, let's put it this way, and this has happened to me a couple times. Let's say you're playing a game, and I think the appreciation of some of the games that you play, like I can't think of any titles off the top of my head. You want to get to the next level. You want to level up, and there is some kind of reward when you've spent some time on something and you've played a game where it's a first-person game, and you figured out all these clues and all that, and you're starting to move up. Well, what if one unsavory moment, let's just say the game glitches, and all of a sudden all that progress you made to get to level 5, you're back to level 3, and everything that you worked on and everything that you focused on and everything that you're having a great time, how does that make you feel?
Usually just throw the controller.
Yeah,
Exactly. You throw the controller. You throw the controller. You walk out of the room. You scream your head off. You can't believe what's going on. And I think that is actually a reflection of the moment of what Chad's bringing up out there.
Yeah.
It's just that if something goes wrong at the moment, and it will inhibit on your passion to what you were focusing on, and God forbid you really push and push and push, and then you found out, well, you're back to level 3 and all this was meaningless. I guess it's something that you have to be able to walk away from and just say, this is not going to faze me.
Yeah, I have
be the thing that changes me.
I have a hard time like walking away from things and putting things out of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I deal with a lot of like insomnia and things like that, and it's just because my mind is going and going and going, and I have a hard time turning it off. And sometimes legitimately I'm dealing with insomnia, and sometimes like I'm like laying down for like maybe 5 or 10 minutes, but I talk myself into, oh well, I'm not going to be able to go to sleep, so I might as well get up and do some work. And I used to kind of like almost wear that as like a badge of honor, like pulling an all-nighter.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you how many times I've done that and then gone back. Like, say I'm working on a project for somebody, a video for somebody, and I just in this like sleepless days manage to produce something, and I send it off and they're like, okay, cool. I need to change this one little thing about this one little element. And then you go back and you try to like fix it, and you realize I haven't labeled anything. One of the things in like Premiere, when you like say you download a video and then you want to put it into Premiere, if you don't move it into its own folder, sometimes things can get like moved around and not linked. And there have been so many times where I've deleted everything out of my downloads folder thinking that I had put it where it was supposed to go. Now 5 different projects that I had been working on are missing the assets that they need. So I think like I just got to the point where I'm like, it's not worth it for me to do that, because I'm going to end up having to just like, if they don't love it perfectly, which rarely happens, I'm going to have to go back and redo the whole thing again. And I don't remember the YouTube video that I watched at 3:30 in the morning, so I'm going to have to go back and watch that again. You know what I mean? So like, I don't remember where I found this video. I don't remember where I found this font that I wanted to use, or blah, blah, blah. So you just have to start the whole project over again. And it's like, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating too. And I think that's another part. I don't know if it's part of the imposter syndrome, but it's part of the frustration that can throw things out. You got to be able to not only walk away from this when it becomes too much of a burden, you also have to be able to not let those burdens bring you down.
Yeah.
Like take away from your passion, not because once they start to, then it becomes work. Then it becomes frustration. Then it becomes, and then that imposter syndrome is coming back to haunt you to go, okay, well, look what happened here.
Yeah.
You have to be able to walk away from the plane as it crashes and walk away and just say, you know what, I can keep going. I can keep going. This is not going to, I mean, how many disasters I'm sure we've all had where we're like, you know what, we really crashed this plane. I'm not going to pick this back up. I'm done. But it's not it's one thing to walk away from the disaster. It's another thing to pick up the pieces and start back over and just say, listen, this is not going to dictate how I'm going to pursue this any further. How this is not going to dictate how I'm going to go on. I'm going to go on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. I know. I think what another consistent theme that I'm picking up on here is really the point of bringing this topic up alongside of imposter syndrome is rest and work have to work together, and they have to be in a really they have to be meshing together for you to actually be successful and for you to actually be consistent. I mean, for me, a perfect example of, you guys have given some really great ones as well. For me, it's I'm drawing a panel and I just can't get this hand right, because hands are the worst things to draw in the world, except unless you're, Michael Watson, because apparently he's amazing at it. But, but like if I, whatever the issue is, I can't get the line work right. I can't figure out what color this thing needs to be. And I get so frustrated. I need to walk away for a minute. I need to go and I need to get inspired. I think resting and consuming your favorite show, your favorite book, that
And
is
beverage.
a part of in beverage. No, really, beverage, food, friendship. That is a part of the creative process. That's a part of working, because that's what inspires you to then go back to the table, back to the computer screen, and do your work and do it well, and inspire others to have that cycle as well, and to cultivate a community around them that inspires them to keep going and keep creating. So final thoughts here. What we're out of time, unfortunately. What would you guys say to someone who is just being absolutely crippled by this, by imposter syndrome? What would be the one piece of advice that you would, give everybody who's struggling with this? Brian, we'll start with you.
Wow, I was hoping I'd be last on this one, because there's a lot to unpack there. But I think what I would tell them is do it anyway. So many great works of art, so many things that have made people famous or profitable were because they took the time to take a risk and to remember that nothing's going to catch fire, nothing's going to crash, nobody's going to die if you do something that gets you closer to your dream. And if you want it bad, and if you want this bad enough, you will overcome the biggest obstacle to success, and that's you. You'll do whatever it takes, as long as it's ethical, to get to your intended goal. I never thought I've ever put that ethical.
You had to add that, didn't you? On your record.
Yeah, that's as close as I'm getting to a disclaimer.
Let's be honest. If it's not ethical, we can all tell you where to hide the body.
Even when it's not ethical.
I've got nothing but woods behind
I am
my
a former
house.
mortician's assistant.
I'm a former tissue coordinator for an organ donation place. So there you go. We all have our special, disgusting hobbies.
I am a gorilla.
Neat. Did not know that.
I feel closer to you now, Christian.
Yes, thank you for that.
Perilously close.
Oh man,
You're afraid.
Yeah, I think that's really that's wise, Brian. Is do it anyway. Christian, what about you?
I guess if it really gets down to it, the one question you should always ask yourself: why are you doing this? Just ask yourself that. Just take if you ever feel the issue, if you ever feel the urge of imposter syndrome hitting you in any direction, just take 2 to 3 deep breaths, and ask yourself one question over and over again. When you trip and fall, when you feel like things are not working out, when you feel like the world is crushing down on you, when you feel like every mistake is going to be your last, just ask yourself this question: why are you doing this? And I'm hoping in your own mind you will be able to answer that, because I think that will be the one step to get over the imposter syndrome. If you can convince yourself that you are important, that what you're doing is of value, and this means something to you, you will get over it. And the only thing that other people will do is just support you and go to your friends. Just to say, hey, blow off some steam. Go to a significant other. Go to somebody. Go to your best buddy and just say, listen, I have to step down. I'm just like, I just don't feel it. Let them bring you back up. I think Brian K knows about this one. One of the best things that has ever gotten me over the imposter syndrome was a compliment unlike any other. And every once in a while, when I kind of phase out, or I feel like things are way above me and it's just crashing, I remember this. I had Katie Manning on the show, and I invited her back, and I remember saying, Katie, if you are promoting anything, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to bring you back on anytime. Just let me know. And she said, darling, I didn't come on because I was promoting something. I came on because you are so fun, and I had a great time with you every time I come on. If you ever get a compliment by Katie Manning, that really melts your heart. And that is what keeps me going every now and then. I just remember that somebody who was up there came down to me and just said, listen, I came to your show because you were fun. Yeah. And if I can remember those compliments and those moments where the imposter syndrome tried to take over, I battle it back with those compliments and go, hey, Katie Manning said I was fun.
Yeah. Chad, what about you?
I would say two things. I would say, okay, so you're struggling with imposter syndrome and it's crippling you. Let's just play that out and say, okay, then don't do it. So now where are you? You're with it. You have nothing to show for yourself. So if you just play that out to its logical conclusion, then you're right. You're not going to do the thing that you really love to do, and it's pointless. So like, to listen to that voice is a lie. So you need to, as Brian said, just do it. Like, who cares? And then the other thing, I thought about this today. Actually, I was driving home from the comic book store of all places, and I drove by the cemetery, and I'm just going to leave you guys with a heavy, morbid thought. You're welcome. I saw, yeah.
I love cemeteries, so this will probably be great.
This. And as I was driving by, it was one of those cemeteries that it's in the weirdest place. Like, it's in the middle of there's homes everywhere and neighborhoods all around. There's no like marking that it's an actual cemetery. You just see all these random tombstones. And as I was going by, I noticed there was a cluster of 3 tombstones off to the side, shoved in the corner, and they had been neglected so that there were trees growing all around these tombstones. And I thought to myself, those were 3 people, and they lived a life, and they have stories, and they have a history that obviously have been forgotten. And so when you think on one side, yeah, don't do it, what happens? You don't accomplish anything. Think about it on the other side. Let's say you do it and you become immensely successful. At some point, you are going to be buried in a hole just like that, and someone's going to forget you. So you need to take that middle road of, you're doing this thing because you enjoy it, because it's something that you have been created to do, something that you love to do, and you just have to do it for that sake. If you're in it to get this big popularity contest, eventually you'll be forgotten. So that's not enough for you to get past this imposter syndrome. If you don't do it, then you'll constantly regret the fact that you never tried. So that's not enough either. So at the end of the day, like, you really have to go forward being confident in what the project is you want to do, and not worry about all the reactions. Just do it for the love of creation, of creating something itself. So that's what I would tell them.
All right. Thanks. That's good.
Oh, now I'm depressed.
No matter what happens, everyone's
You're
gonna
gonna be in
forget
that
you.
tomb one day.
The reason why I go there, and my wife would tell you this, is that I am constantly thinking about what kind of legacy am I going to leave? Like,
Yeah.
what's the point in the fact that I have this life? Why am I here? And it drives me crazy sometimes because I'm constantly thinking about, like, what does my life mean? What's going to happen after I die? Like, what is all this creative stuff? And if you think about it, it's like 0.1% of 0.1% of all the famous people in this world today ever get remembered beyond this generation. There's very few people that you actually remember from history beyond the Van Goghs and the Napoleons and the Charles Dickens and all those guys. They're on a whole nother level that 0.1% of us will never get there. And so to even strive for that is just an impossible thing. So there's got to be something else that drives your life, that drives why you're creating things. And it can't be the approval of other people. And it can't be a lasting legacy that you're going to leave, because eventually that's going to be forgotten. It's got to be something else. And I think that imposter syndrome is really driven by that. You're seeking that approval, or you're afraid of not getting that approval. And the way around it is to do it for the love of the game, not for the love of what other people are going to say about you or think about you.
Absolutely.
I'm just thinking about a big hole in the ground. Thank you very much for that.
Jeremy,
Brian and I will be buried next to each other. I'm going, Brian, what are you doing today? I'm not doing much of anything. What are you doing? I don't know.
I'm living for the approval of others. What are you doing?
There you go.
I don't know, but they got great Wi-Fi down here for some of them.
As a hashtag always promoting, my next book is all about death, my next comic book. So I give that to you. So there you go.
there you go. All right.
Hashtag always promoting. If you love cemeteries, folks,
I was about to say, yes, that's great. All right, Jeremy, what are your closing thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think find a tribe.
Yeah.
I think all of what we've talked about and all of the things that we have learned it all comes from that ability to be a sounding board for somebody else and have people that are a sounding board for you. And in your tribe, there's people that are further along, and there are people that are just starting out, and the ability to help other people along, and then have other people help you along, and getting insights from people, things like that, that all comes back to finding that tribe. And I think that Brian, your rising tide mentality, I think, is what creative people need.
Yeah.
Creative people by themselves are always way too emotional and get depressed when, you know what I mean? Like, there's that tendency because of the nature of putting yourself out there, doing a creative work, that I think if we isolate ourselves, the imposter syndrome, like our own brain, that's the only thing that we're going to be able to relate to, right? What is being said in our head is the only feedback we're getting, and it's almost never what we need to hear. Let's be honest. Our brains are always, telling us the wrong things. So to have that group of people, I think that's the foundation of being successful as a creative person.
For sure. Yeah. And I would add to that. I think everything you guys have said has been phenomenal in this episode, but especially during the closing statements. But I think what I would advise of all the other things on top of this, I would say, if you find yourself in a moment of doubting yourself, of really struggling, take the rising tide way and search out your tribe and promote them. I would say when you're stuck on yourself and you're stuck on, oh, woe is me, oh, I can't do this well. Go and serve somebody. Give them the spotlight and mean it. Genuinely go out there and seek out your friends and talk to them about what you're feeling. But while you're doing that, give them the spotlight. I think so many times in my own life when I've realized I've just been thinking about myself and I've been lost in this, imposter syndrome mentality. And when I give somebody else the spotlight in my mind and I act on that on social media or buy somebody else's book and say a kind word and mean it, that my thoughts shift. It's no longer about me. It's about somebody else that I care about. And I think that is a huge weapon that we have to fight imposter syndrome. And that I think it all comes, we've all been saying this whole time, is it all comes back to community. I think community is the answer to this, is sharing this load together, bringing each other along for the ride, being successful together, and making sure nobody else gets left behind. So, thank you guys for being here, Christian and Brian, to fight imposter syndrome one last time. We're going to go down the line, and everybody is going to tell our viewers where they can find your work. Brian, we're going to start with you.
All right. Thank you very much for having me, guys. I really appreciate this, and thank you for allowing me to share my feelings on this really critical issue. I really feel it's important to a lot of people. But anyway, I'm Brian K. Morris, Rising Tide Publications. We do books. We do comic books. I write for other people. RisingTide.pub, where you can sign up for my free monthly newsletter and find out where I'm going to be appearing. Yes, I'm going to be places this year wearing a mask and shield and a hazmat suit, but I will be out in the public. And also, don't forget, I'm also a broadcaster Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Never mind the furthermore, coffee, creative conversation and coffee with our peeps, the Nevermorians. And on Tuesday nights, 8 p.m., 7 p.m. Central Time, Clever Title Pending, where we talk about the business of creativity and all that goes with it. And we've got some great guests coming up. We've got the great comic historian and all-around Renaissance guy, Glenn B. Fleming. And also check out our back catalog of shows on our YouTube channel, Brian K. Morris, Rising Tide Publications. Thank you again for having me here.
It's great to have you. Christian.
He said sharing the load. He's used to the hazmat suit now. What can I say? Facebook, The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. We just got our YouTube channel now, so please, might be a little bit hard to find because we're still working on transitioning out, but we do have the go onto YouTube, The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, LLC. You'll find us. We are now up to about 120 subscribers. We just started a couple days ago, but we want you to be part of the legend. The Facebook page is getting up to 50,000 likes. It's just shy of a couple hundred away. So for all you Whovians out there like Doctor Who, we put out a weekly podcast. We have celebrities and new in our classic series, which include Paul McGann, Katie Manning, Tim Treloar, Annette Bedland, Sylvester McCoy, E.G. Cho, just on and on and on and on. We are also part of Wizard World, so subscribe to Wizard World on their Facebook page. Our show simulcasts on there. So the best place to go to is either thelegendofthetravelingtardis.com, our Facebook page, or our YouTube page, and subscribe and check us out.
Great. Thanks for coming on, Christian. Chad, where can we find your work?
I am the creator, artist, writer of The Silence, which is a science fiction comic book. You can see the art in the background as well. And currently working on book 2, which should be out at the end of the spring, early summer of this year, and be running a Kickstarter for that. But the main places you can find me is on Dastardly Dingo's podcast. And also I have my own show, Indie View, which I review independent comic books. And then I'll have a live drawing show with Brian and my friend Alex doing just live drawing where we're talking about our projects. But the other main places are Facebook page. I try to post a lot there. Instagram at The Silence Comics, and TikTok is the other place I do. And then I also have thesilencecomics.com.
Awesome. Jeremy.
Hey, what's up?
We
We can,
got
we
some,
can,
no,
we can
man,
find him
you-
over there. You don't have to look
Jeremy,
far.
if you're tell us about if you're trying to promote a project, what can they do?
Yeah, if you're an independent creator and you're trying to grow your audience, or you are trying to promote your project somewhere, jeremywoodring.com is my website. You can see my portfolio of past projects that I've worked on, and I would love to help you take care of all the ins and outs of creating videos and social posts and things like that, so that you can kind of just focus on what you do well, which is making comic books or writing books. That's what you were born to do. I was born to help you. jeremywoodring.com. Yeah.
Awesome. And I am Brian Rodman, brianrodman.com. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And I am the writer and illustrator of the Memoirs of an Angel horror fantasy comic book series. And soon to be also the Nebulizer as well. So you can find me there. And guys, thank you so much for being here. Everyone, thank you for tuning into the Dastardly Dingoes podcast. Remember to hit like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Also, hit that bell to be notified when a new episode airs. And as always, everyone, have fun, be safe, and don't wait for this week to be yours. Make it so. See you next time, everybody.